want to talk to Patrick de Haan from GasBuddy. I know Patrick is joining us by Zoom. This man has been so busy. I think he must do interviews all day long because I see him everywhere. But we really appreciate him taking some time to talk with us because everybody wants to know about oil prices, gas prices. We're hearing that oil prices fell today because of talks about this agreement, alleged agreement between the U.S. and Iran. So let's bring in Patrick. Patrick, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, so it's really hard to keep up with. I mean, every day it's like gas is up, gas is down, gas is
Hmm.
up, gas is down. Where do we stand right now? Because oil prices did go up yesterday, but did they come back down today?
Well, oil prices have been quite a bit lower in the last 2 weeks as the market absorbs the potential that a lot of dialogue between the US and Iran is happening. We continue to see different things emerging every day, which means there's a lot of talks happening. There hasn't yet been a deal. The strait remains closed, but oil prices are still dropping based on the assumption that a lot of this talk back and forth will yield a positive end result. It hasn't yet. So there still is the possibility that prices could go right back up. But for now, gas prices in 49 of the nation's 50 states have declined over the last 7 days. Virginia is certainly no exception. Average gas prices down 20 cents a gallon from a week ago. The price of oil is still down so substantially compared to 2 weeks ago that gas prices probably will continue to decline into the weekend. But what happens next week is a little bit up in the air. Obviously, the buck stops with whatever develops out of these negotiations. If there is a deal to reopen the strait, prices may not necessarily immediately climb. If the strait reopens as a part of these negotiations, we may have more drops coming to gas prices. So we're very much in a do or die situation over the next couple of days. If a deal emerges, that could put more downward pressure on prices. But if we don't see something probably by early next week, oil prices could again surge as we continue to see global oil inventories declining significantly. So the future of what you're paying at the pump is going to be really determined by what emerges out of these talks over the weekend and actively right now.
Okay, yeah, so we are all watching to see what comes out of that. We keep hearing, though, that even if there is a deal, and let's say the strait is open, I've heard from a number of different sources that, oh, it's still going to take months, such a long time before prices come back down because of the backup of the ships that are in the strait. What is your take on that? Will we see immediate relief?
Well, we're already seeing relief, and the strait hasn't even opened. So it's not going to take long for any additional relief to start kicking in. What will take a long period of time, and here's the differentiation: we're already seeing prices go down, so the relief is already here, but it's going to take a lot longer to get back down to pre-war gas prices. That could take into 2027 at this point. So, it's already true that relief is hitting the pump. That's why Virginia's price is down 20 cents a gallon in the last week, because prices start to mirror the change in oil immediately, but oil prices are still quite a bit higher than pre-war level, and it's going to take a lot longer for us to see gas prices getting back down to the pre-war level if and once the strait does reopen. So both of those things can be true. We're seeing relief, but it's going to take a lot of time to see gas prices back down to pre-war levels.
All right, yeah, so we need to be patient before we can see those 289
Yeah.
prices like we were seeing before. Does it surprise you that the prices react so quickly to just talks? I mean, there's been so much back and forth. One thing is said one day and it sounds like it's positive. Then the next day it switches in the other direction. I'm a little surprised, but I don't know about this kind of thing. I'm a little surprised at how quickly oil prices responds to all the back and forth news.
Well, it depends on the weight of that back and forth news. 3 or 4 weeks ago, when President Trump was telling them they better open the strait or we're going to bomb them, that's a completely different tone than what we've been seeing here the last few days. Now, it's possible that President Trump, the administration goes completely right back to escalations, and that would drastically change the situation. But it seems for now like cooler heads are prevailing, and it seems like there's been a lot of back and forth on trying to get things normalized. It's both in Iran's interest and in the United States' interest to come to some sort of deal. And as you mentioned, there's a tremendous amount of back and forth this time around. A few weeks ago, when they negotiated, there was a little bit of back and forth, but there's a lot of dialogue happening. And that's why oil prices are cooling off because, while oil markets may be wrong and there may be nothing that comes of this, there is a very high level of effort going into this on both sides. And that is what's different compared to past negotiations is there's just a lot of back and forth happening. And the bet oil prices are going down because there's such a high level of dialogue that there is a higher level of success this time around than there may have been a month or two ago.
And there has to be a lot of pressure coming from other countries because this is not just
Oh,
a
yeah.
U.S. Iran thing. It is a global mess.
Exactly. And that's why you're seeing other countries like Pakistan's been heavily involved, countries in the Middle East like Egypt and Jordan. There's a lot more countries getting involved. So when you have such a high level of talks with so many countries, it's obvious the interest is there. To your point, there's a tremendous amount of global pressure. And if this doesn't get solved here very soon, as I mentioned, oil prices could spike yet again. If there's nothing that comes out of these talks, if they fall apart, if there's not a deal, we will see oil prices going right back up because as these
Mhm.
talks are happening, global oil inventories are continuing to drain at a very rapid level.
Mm. All right. Thank you so much, Patrick de Haan from GasBuddy. We know we'll be talking to you again. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good weekend.